This is a copywritten production of the Recreation Centers of Sun City Incorporated and is intended for the sole purpose of informing our Recreation Center members. Any duplication, copying, transmission, broadcast, or use, including electronic and social media, is strictly prohibited without the prior written consent from the Recreation Centers of Sun City Incorporated. Thank you for watching.
Yes, I'm Karen.
I'm
Yes.
Jules.
Jules, nice to meet you.
Okay, we're going to get going, and are we rolling, Alan? Good. I want to welcome everybody here. A reminder that we are videotaping this, and it will be on YouTube, so please be aware of that. And that, you're waving your likeness and voice and all that other stuff. I don't have the actual script in front of me, but you've I'm sure, seen it and heard it before. My name is Rich Hofer. I am the chairman of the Elections Committee this year and a member of the Board of Directors. I'm former past vice president and former past president. And I do a very quick introduction of the folks that are up here because we are very honored to have 5 of the best people I know with us today. On the far end, this is Dan Schroeder. Dan is a past president 3 times. He is the only 3-term president in RCSC history, and having served just last year is his 3rd term. So we're pleased to have Dan with us. He's also on the board this year as an appointed member. Next to me is the 3rd woman ever to be elected president to the RCSC Board of Directors, and that is Sue Wilson. Sue is in her 2nd term and her 4th year, and she is a remarkable lady and has done an excellent job so far this year leading us. And I'm real happy to have her here with us today. I wanted to have her along with us last year, but she was running, and that would have been a conflict of interest. And I'll very quickly point out, Dale Lair is right behind us. She's our secretary. Dale is another person that ran last year, and I would have loved to have had her on here last year, but again, conflict of interest type of thing. So wouldn't have been fair to the candidates to have 2 of the candidates up here. Next to me is my good buddy Ron Jesse. Ron was on the board when I first got elected some 6 years ago. He has been a vice president of the board and he has served admirably. He has 3 years left if he wanted to run again. He tells me he doesn't want to run again, but we keep reappointing him. So if there's an unexpired position, we just call Ron and he comes in and sits in for however long for the rest of the term. But Ron does a great job, and it's always good having Ron along with us.
Thanks.
Next to him is our vice president this year, Mike Egge.
Hello.
Mike is in his 2nd year on the board. Tremendous guy, very smart.
Hope so.
And he is doing a remarkable job as vice president. We're very pleased to have Mike on the board this year, as always, and as vice president as well. And way down at the end is my good friend Ida Eisert. Ida and I got elected together for my 1st term and her 1st term, her only term. She still has 3 years left if she wanted to run, but she says no to that, I know. And Ida served with me for 3 years, and we had a good time. Ida and I probably were most contentious. We were like this for 2 of the 3 years, but we always were friends. And that tells me that we were able to separate business and friendship, and we always respected each other. We always would fight cats and dogs in board meetings and whatnot, and then walk out together arm in arm. So that's a wonderful thing, and Ida's just a great lady, and still friends to this day. We just had coffee not too long ago together, didn't we? Sure. We did. What I'd like to do before we get in, and I'm going to ask these guys just to give you their impressions about what being on the board has meant for them, what running for the board has meant to them. What I'd like to do is go right down the line and ask everybody, what is it that you need to know today? What things do you want to find out? Because I want to make sure, first and foremost, whatever questions you have today, we're going to answer for you, okay? I don't care if you've got 1 question, if you've got 1,000 questions, we want those questions answered so you can make a better decision as to whether or not this is something for you. You'll notice I will say one thing. I don't sell people on running for the board, and I don't do that for one very simple reason. It's an honor. When you think about it, there are 3 people that will be elected to the board this December. There's 37,000 members here. So the odds, 3 people versus 37,000, it's an honor to be one of 9 that sit on the board of directors. It really, truly is. And it is a lot of fun. We're a family, and you're always a family. You know, you can ask Ron, you can ask Ida. Once you've been on the board, you're on the board. And it's kind of like the Bachelorette or the Bachelor or something like. My wife watches those things. You know, Bachelor Nation. Well, we've got Board Nation. Stella knows that because Stella was on the board with us a while back. And she still has 3 years left. You picking up your packet today? Okay. Shirley, why don't you tell us, what is it that you're looking for today?
Well, I don't know yet because I'm not fully aware of what goes on your meetings and your boards and
Okay.
what positions are available and what, I don't know yet. I think as I listen to what everybody says, I might have some idea of what I need to know.
Great. Okay. Sounds good. Julius?
Really, I want to find out what goes on, because I have no clue.
Okay.
I've been in Sun City for years, and I just hear, or read something, but I don't know what's going on, actually.
I will tell you what you read and what you hear. None of us have horns. We really don't.
Really?
We're honest to God people, yeah.
Private agenda.
I
Yeah.
mean, the ground doesn't open up, and you don't show up in a blaze of glory?
Well, not every day.
Not just once in a while,
There you
amongst
go.
friends.
There you go. Karen, how about you? What are you looking for?
You know, I'm just dipping a toe in the water
Okay.
today. I still work, and so my biggest question will be, will I be able to do a position justice, what the time commitments are, while I'm still employed and I travel
Sure.
quite a bit? So that would be my question.
Okay, very good. And Alan?
Yes, I've got a few questions.
Excellent.
The first question I'd like to know is what people think on the board
Okay.
are the major issues that are facing Sun City. The second thing I would like to know is Sun City facing issues with water because of mandates from either the federal, state, or local governments that have to be dealt with? In other words, are we going to have to change anything because there are mandates coming down to us,
Okay.
the government entities? Then what I would like to know is if there are hard copies available of the controlling documents. In other words, I looked on the site where you have the articles of incorporation and there's like 6 documents. Would it be possible for me to get hard copies of those, or do I have to print them off myself? I can print them for you. Okay, thank you. Okay,
Very good.
thank you.
Sure. And Stella, do you have any questions for us?
No, I don't think so.
Very good.
It's good to see you all still alive after yesterday.
We appreciated you.
In case you weren't there or didn't watch the video early this morning when it finally got posted, we had a rather long meeting yesterday, went about 3 hours and 10 minutes. As I understand, it was not a record setter. They've actually had longer meetings.
5 hours, I think is right.
Yeah, 5 hours maybe, but we were trying to break it, but it fell a little bit short. But it was a long meeting. Normally, our meetings run about an hour. So anyway, what I'd like to do is start down here with Dan Schroeder, and we'll just have everybody kind of give you their thoughts of what it's like to either be on the board, run for the board, whatever they wanted to say. Dan?
Like Rich says, I'm Dan Schroeder. I am on my 7th term, so I've been on the board a while. I'd like to give a little bit of advice as far as once you're candidates, things you might consider doing. That would be going to the meetings, not only the board meetings, but go to as many committee meetings as you can, because you will have to choose or pick what committees you'd like to serve on if you're elected. So that's one thing. Read the documents, the articles, the bylaws, and the board policies, so you at least have a little understanding of them. Other than that, this is, in my opinion anyway, a great job. I thoroughly enjoy being on the board, serving on the board, and serving the members.
Thank you, Dan. Next up, our president, our current president, Sue Wilson.
Well, I came onto the board, this is my 4th year. Dale, Dan, and I came on 4 years ago together, and we became officers. I served as treasurer for 3 years. And yes, it takes time, because every Wednesday you were in signing checks for a couple hours, so luckily they've changed that now to every other week, which helps a little bit. came on, obviously, I had an agenda when I began. He was gone before we even got elected, and I learned a lot. I learned, actually, my first year to listen. Just sit and listen, participate, but listen. And you learn so much just from doing that. We were lucky to spend a lot of time with our general manager, with other board members that could fill us in on history of things, which really does help in making decisions, good decisions. And so, my advice is take the time, read those documents, those are important, but talk to the board members, talk to past board members. Those are people that can give you good words of wisdom on what it's like to be on the board.
Thank you, Sue. Next up, Ron Jesse.
When I ran for the board, we didn't have, the elections committee at that time did not have a setup as we do now, bringing in potential candidates. All I did was pick up a packet. They told me to go out and get at least 120 or 130 signatures, turn it back in. They never really advised me of going to committee meetings or to the board meetings or anything like that. As like Sue, I had a little bit of an agenda. I'm an avid golfer, and as soon as I got on the board, that disappeared, just like Sue had said. You have to think of the total membership that you're representing, and the total of something comes up and you have to make a decision on whether to pay this or pay that, and that's part of our duty, fiduciary responsibility. And I always thought that this was like a government agency, but I was totally wrong. We are a corporation, and these folks, part of these folks are the board of directors, just like, I think Rich had brought it up, just like Microsoft or Tesla or any of the big ones. We're not as big as them. But keep that in your mind. And it is, once you get on, it is like a little family. And it was hard to leave when I had to leave. But I'm still thinking about running for the board, not this year.
He says that every year.
One of these days I'll surprise you.
All right, that sounds good. Next up, our Vice President, Mike Agee.
My approach to running was I started attending the board meetings. It was probably 4 or 5 months. I just sit in the audience and listen and spent a lot of time on the website reading all the corporate documents. It is, as Rich said earlier, it's time consuming and it's almost a little painful, but just to try to understand the process and what being a board member would entail. And so that's what I would encourage you to do, is to, fortunately, the meetings are recorded, so if you can't come to them, you can at least watch them online and watch the format and the type of things that we are faced with on a twice-a-month basis. And then my other comment is to remind people that it can be a little confusing because as a board member, you're representing the corporation. There are sometimes you think you're, some neighbor might come walking up to you and say, they're complaining about the color of the swimming pool. Well, you're not representing the people as individuals. You're representing the corporation. Certainly we care about the individuals and their opinions and their concerns and objections, but at the end of the day, we're charged with making decisions on behalf of the corporation. So that sometimes gets to be a balancing act, because obviously you want everybody to be happy, but at the end of the day, that's not necessarily your job as an individual. So that's
Thank you, Mike. And last but certainly not least, Ida Isert.
Thank you, and I tweaked my list, so here we go. All right. Of course. Otherwise, I ramble on. So it takes an effort to become a candidate and then follow through, and that's what hopefully you will be doing today. Remember, you will be applying for a job. Why? Because the membership will be voting on who they think will be the best person for the job as RCSC director. I am sure most of you have interviewed for positions. The RCSC director position is a non-paid position, but a very important position. In the end, the best person for the job will be voted in. Be ready. I was a board member 2015 through 2017 for 3 years. Time and commitment is essential when wanting to run for the board. Candidate preparation is essential. Getting on the RCSC website, asking questions with current board members and past board members. Past, present, and future history of the RCSC performance is important because it equals how a corporation evolves for the benefit of the membership. Yes, RCSC is a corporation, in fact, a 501c4. And ultimately, the RCSC board, through the years protecting the assets of the corporation, is a blessing to the membership. Del Webb Development Company opened Sun City, Arizona's 5 model homes in January 1, 1960. RCSC has come a long way. So you want to become an RCSC board director. Just a few notes to think about and learn about RCSC. Presentation as an individual versus presentation as a director. Remember, you will be 1 of 9 votes. What do you think? Another is good change versus status quo. What I mean by that is, stereotypically, that's the way it always was. Learning to read the financials and getting details. You can find the financials on the RCSC website. The bid process on projects you can find on the RSC website. Think about this process: management versus board of directors. Who is in charge? Read up on the RCSC budgeting process. These are but a few learning points. So be proactive, start now, because as a candidate, learning and being prepared is half the battle. Because guess what? The membership will be asking you questions now as a candidate. Be ready. It gets you prepared for decision making. As members, we should be reading and have a copy of the CC&Rs, bylaws and policies of the rec centers of Sun City, and actually more. By that I mean the RCSC website informational highway. It was a good 3 years for me. I enjoyed working with Ron, Rich, and Dan. They were on the board with me at that time. And by the way, I have one little comment because Rich wanted me to say this, I guess, so I'm going to go ahead and repeat it, is that getting 100 signatures, I know you all would have to get 100 signatures, right? Yes. So getting 100 signatures in half a day is doable, but I would not recommend it. That's it. Thank you.
She did it in 2 hours.
Yeah.
So
4 hours, 4 hours.
4 hours, okay. Came in on the last day and took out a packet, and then went out and got 100 signatures and filled out the packet and got it back in before noon on Friday. It's the first Friday in October. And
Yeah.
she did a great job and ended up getting elected. It was great. So what I would suggest is, Jan Eck has always said that being a member of the board, coming onto the board, is kind of like changing a tire of a moving vehicle, because the RCSC is always in motion. We're going to take a break in July and August. We're always shut down for those 2 months, not the RCSC, but the board. It still keeps moving. And as potential candidates, if you go through the candidate process and you get elected, there's still history that's happening. There's still issues that are going on. So when you take your seat on January 1st, you're kind of having to run to catch up. And I think you heard it from several people, and it's so true. The most successful board members are the ones, and I don't care if you've sat on boards your entire life or never have sat on a board. This one's different. the suggestion that you listen, that you ask questions, that you talk to people away from board meetings and things like that, talk to the board members, is so valuable. It really is. I can tell you, I got swatted down real early in my tenure because I didn't. I thought I knew everything because I'd served on boards. Wow, I was in for a heck of a surprise. And the people that think they know it all when they get here usually end up getting a little hurt. I wouldn't want to see that to anybody. I really wouldn't. So ask a lot of questions, listen at board meetings and things like that and see what's going on. Participate, obviously. We want you to participate, but just make sure that you listen and learn. Because it usually, the learning curve is anywhere from probably, 6 months to a year. And that's usually about how long it takes to really get the feel of what we're all about, okay? So I know we had some questions. Karen had a question on time commitment, right?
Yes, yes, and now that you've been talking too, I wonder if you can talk a little bit about the election process, because I know last year everything was virtual.
Yeah.
So can you talk a little bit about that?
Sure. What's going to happen, in fact, we're changing it up a little bit this year. We're happy to have a couple of our members from our election committee. Tom Marone is in the back. Tom is on our elections committee. Ida's on my election committee, as is Ron. And so what happens? Let's say today you decide, hey, I like what I'm hearing. I want to become a candidate. Marcia can take you downstairs right after this meeting is over, and if you have your member card with you, you hand it downstairs in the board office, you'll get a packet. Inside that packet, you'll find all sorts of things to fill out, as well as all sorts of information things. You'll have different things that you should go to, different things that you must go to, different things that they're going to need before October, okay? And we're giving you all summer long to think about it, all summer long to get it done, and you're going to need to fill out and get 100 signatures. Don't let that bother you. Every person up here, every person on our board, Dale included, because I know she'd be happy to help you, will help you get signatures. Stella probably would help you get signatures too, as a former board member. Anybody would do that. Come to a board meeting, and if you were at yesterday's board meeting, you could probably have gotten 100 signatures, because we had probably 100 people there, okay? Just come to a board meeting. We got another one on the 24th. And, you can come and get signatures there. You can, if you golf, go to a golf course. If you bowl, go to a bowling alley. If you belong to a club, go to the clubs. You can stay. In fact, we've had people that have stood outside rec centers, and as people are coming into the rec centers, would you sign my petition? Everybody wants to sign the petition, okay? They'll all say, better you than me. Oh, good luck. But that's okay, because it is important to do that. Okay, so you're going to get your signatures. You're going to turn that in. Once your signatures are verified, you become a candidate. You have to have all of that turned in by the first Friday in October at 12 noon. Once that happens and you're verified as a candidate, then what happens? Marcia and I will be hosting a candidate orientation that you must attend. And then what happens, you'll learn so much more about the whole process at that point. After that, we're going to take you over to Sundial. And Alan and Teresa Serino and Mike Dvorak will videotape your, like a 2 to 3 minute video of who you are, why you want to run, what you want to do. Okay? We'll give you a couple days to write that up and just kind of memorize it and whatnot. We did that first last year. That was the first time we did it last year. Typically what we had done in the past, where all these guys and Stella had done, is we had to go out and write up our own sheets, basically a resume, yeah, with your picture or whatever else, and then print up 1 million copies and go to 30 different places around Sun City where they were stacked up. And you would go back every week. It would take you a couple hours every Thursday. That's what I did on Thursdays. You'd go around and you'd make sure that there were 25 or 30 copies everywhere. And it takes a lot of paper, takes a lot of time. We've done away with that.
And ink.
And ink, a lot of ink. We did away with that last year because of COVID. It worked so well. Every single person running for office last year had over 1,000 views on YouTube. So that told me right then and there, this is the way to go. And, you know, a lot of people scream about how we're technologically behind the 8 ball a lot of places. This got us out there a little bit better. So it's a much better and easier way to do it. It takes a lot of time off of you. It really does. So there's that. Then you'll campaign. Where you campaign, how you campaign, and by the way, you're the only people that can actually come onto RCSC property with a petition and have it signed. No other petitions are allowed on RCSC property, okay? You're the only ones that can do that. Only board member candidates are allowed to get petitions signed on our properties, okay? Any property, doesn't matter. So you can always do that. You can go in and visit clubs. Always check with the monitors first and make sure it's okay. You know, some may not want you there and some may want you there. But always check with the monitor first before you go into a club and ask for signatures. The other thing that I used to do, I'd go to the Sun Bowl in the fall, starting in September. I'd go and get there a couple hours early. And, you know, Stella was a nurse over there, and she would walk up and down, and I'd get there early as people were setting up, and I would just walk through, and I had T-shirts printed up that said, "Vote for Rich." And I'd walk through the crowd, shaking hands and talking to people and whatnot. You're campaigning. That's basically what you're doing. And, you know, some people have done some weird things. I have with me a pen right here. This is from a lady that ran last year, and basically went out and got vote for me type of pens. I did that once, and it works out very, very well. You don't have to do that. Some people get elected without doing anything. Other people want to do something like that. I did it because, quite frankly, I knew like 25 people in town when I first ran. That was it. So I knew I needed to get out there and do that. There will be 2 candidate forums. Candidate forum is where you'll get on stage. It'll be at Sundial this year. And you'll get on stage and on November 1st at 2 o'clock and November 3rd at 6 o'clock. And you will be asked questions, okay? There'll be questions asked by the moderator, me, and by the audience. And they'll come up and they'll grill you for a couple hours each time. And that's always a lot of fun. I know Sue's chaired this committee and has done that, so have I. Stella's done it too, yeah. And I did it. I did it the year after I first did it. So it's a lot of fun. The thing I would suggest on that is just have fun. If you don't know something, you say, I don't know. I'll find out. You know, be honest and be truthful on the things that you get asked. Because sometimes you get asked some weird questions, you know. We had one guy ask a question one year on how many square miles is Sun City? Anybody know the answer to that? It's 21.
21.
21 square miles.
You won't get asked that again.
You might.
Well, you might.
You might.
Stella's taking notes over here, so you might. I don't know. But the thing is that you'll be asked that in November, and then usually right after those things are taking place, they start the online voting. There's 3 ways to vote: online, absentee ballot, and on the second Tuesday of December, in this room, we have an election where people walk in and physically vote. And then that afternoon, about 4 or 5 o'clock, all of the candidates come back and we announce the results. The winning candidates stay. We have your picture taken, so it'll go in the Sun Views. We'll send it over to Rusty Bradshaw at the Independent, and he'll write a nice article. You will also have an article written as soon as you're verified in October. Rusty does a nice job of writing up an article about you, and you'll have your picture in the paper as well, okay? You will be sworn in the last meeting of December, and which is usually the 3rd week of December on the Thursday. And then starting January 1st of next year, you will take your seat. The 2nd of January, or the first business day after New Year's, you will go through and have an officers meeting, an executive session, where you'll elect a president, vice president, secretary, and treasurer. And those 4 offices will be re-elected every year. But you will be serving a 3-year term, okay? And that's the whole process.
How long are the packets available for people? So you know what I'm asking?
October 5th.
Oh, so between
Right,
now?
October 5th or October 1st? 5th.
Yeah.
Wait, it's the first Friday in October. Is it first? I think it's the first.
It might be the 1st, yeah.
I think it's the first.
So between now and October 1st, anyone can put their name into the hat.
Right. As long as they have filled everything out and returned everything to the office by noon on the 1st, you're in good shape.
Yeah.
You don't have to take out a packet today. Some people have, and some people haven't, and that's okay. And if you have, a lot of people, we do get people that take out a packet just to see what's in it. Yeah, we know that. But if you want, the sooner you take out a packet, the more time you have to get your signatures, the more time you have to get everything prepared, and if you have any questions, you can always call me. I'm in touch with all of the candidates about every 2 weeks. And then Marcia is also somebody that you'll work very closely with throughout the summer leading up to it. If you need any help at all as far as getting signatures or anything like that, I'm there to help you. And if I need to tap into some other folks to do that as well, I'm more than happy to do that. Stella.
Rich, can I just make one comment that
Please.
was never mentioned to me when I was getting signatures, and I haven't heard here today, and I haven't heard anyone say to anybody, but the other thing you need to be aware of, and why they tell you to get more than 100 signatures, is because people who have privilege cards, and how you tell they have a privilege card is their RCSC card number starts with 9. Okay, so people who have privilege cards cannot vote. So their signature on your petition does not count as one of your people, one of your 100 signatures.
Right.
Okay, one of your 100 people. You don't want to say to them, no, you can't sign it. Okay, you don't want to be rude. You know, I mean, truly, you don't want to do that. But you need to keep in the back of your mind that all of those people who have 9, who start with 9, aren't going to count towards your 100. So you need to make, plus some of those signatures, people may want to sign, and they may sign for you, and their RCSC card could be expired. So you need to make sure you get a cushion over 100 signatures so that you don't end up with a problem when you go to turn your signatures in. Because if you wait till the last day to turn your signatures in, then you're going to get them back and find out they aren't valid.
Right.
And you're not going to be able to get more signatures.
The other way that, the 9 is always a good way to look. And if you see the card, if it's got a blue stripe across the top, that's the other way to tell. You have a yellow stripe at the top of your card. Privileged card holders have a blue stripe, okay?
So it's only deeded owners
Yeah,
who can do this. Deeded members.
deeded members, that's right.
Sorry, I just.
No, that's fine,
No,
thank
that
you.
was good.
I appreciate you saying that, do appreciate that. As far as how much time is involved, let's go. Ida, how much time did it take you as far as you were a non-officer for 3 years, how much time was involved as far as coming to the meetings and all of that?
I just took as much time as I needed in order to accomplish the jobs that I wanted to do and, make sure that I was efficient that way. You don't want to overdo it, because if you do, you're going to tire yourself out. But if you work efficiently, you can take care of everything that you need to do and then some. But hour-wise, I don't know. I don't remember, to tell you the truth.
Okay, I can tell you this, if the average meeting goes an hour for board meetings, and you're going to have a committee meeting, you'll probably be on 2 committees, probably as a chair of one and a co-chair of the other, and so figure that to be an hour, and then you may be a liaison to something like the posse or the fire department or the museum or SHOA. That could be another hour. So you may, the very least, without any preparation, 5 to 10 hours a month. I know Dan says probably 10 to 15 hours a week if you're not an officer. If you're somebody like Sue or Dan when he was president, or me as president, it's almost like a full-time job, okay? You can work probably 30, 40 hours a week as doing that. I mean, it is very time-consuming. You're in the office pretty much every day doing something. Maybe not all day, but you're in the office doing something. And, and nobody wants to talk to somebody that's not the president. They always want to talk to the president. Isn't that right?
Happens a lot.
Happens a lot, which is why I'm glad this year I'm not a president or an officer. But anyway, you know, how long it takes is totally up to you. If you're the treasurer and you're coming in every other week to sign checks, that's going to take a couple hours, okay, on top of the other duties that you have. If you're the vice president or the president, you're going to spend a lot more time because you're going to be meeting with the general manager, okay, on a regular basis. And, you know, you're going to be getting things squared away. There are hearings, there are different things going on that you know, that these guys, as president and vice president, do on a daily and weekly basis that I don't do as somebody that just sits on the end and tries to keep the time at the meetings when I remember. Anyway, does that help?
Yes.
Okay. As far as now, you say you work, are you full-time or part-time?
Well, I'm self-employed.
You're self-employed, okay. So you can do it pretty much anytime you want?
My job?
Yeah. Or is it between 9 and 5, or?
Well, no, I'm self-employed, so I work 14 hours a day, but,
Okay.
But my situation is I travel quite a bit for
Okay.
my work. So and because I'm self-employed, if it's a job, I have to take that job and travel. So my concern is that there might be times where there's a board meeting scheduled, but I'm in North Carolina or Oregon or something where I wouldn't be able to attend.
You would need to make sure that you don't miss 3 meetings in a row, because that is, you know, we really do frown on people missing board meetings. So, you know, that's something to think about, because I think if you're not in a board meeting, you can't be voting, and that could mean something passing or not passing, okay?
But with, you know, with new technology, do you allow board members to be virtually present for board meetings?
It is difficult at this time to do so, just because of the fact that we have a crowd of people and we are all in attendance. We tried to do it with having a member on phone and sitting there with that, you know, with the microphone. Very difficult for them to hear all the discussion that was going on.
We actually had one where Ida was in Florida for one meeting, I remember, and did call in on the phone. In fact, I think it was your phone, wasn't it, Stella? Yeah, it was Stella's phone. And it was almost, and I don't mean this in a bad way, but it was almost comical at times, because we'd call for a vote and everybody'd be voting, and then you'd hear Ida in the background, yes!
Well, that was when I was supposed to vote, Rich.
Yes.
You know, when they were calling for the vote. So
I understand that,
obviously,
dear.
I would say yes. So
But
I didn't think it was very comical.
But no, you didn't, I know.
What's that? No, it wasn't.
But it was one of those, and we've tried it a couple of times. We have not done it what I would consider to be uber successfully. And so if we were to do it again, I don't know. We would have to figure out a different way to do it. Okay. You had some questions, Alan. Right, thank you.
Yeah, there are more stuff.
I'd like to make to speak to that. If somebody wants to do that, there's no reason why they can't do it. You know, it should be provided if a board member is out of town, and it shouldn't be difficult for that to happen. So that's all I'm going to say about it.
It is up to the president to say yes or no to that, though. So, okay, Alan?
There are more substantive questions than candidate questions. I know what a fiduciary duty is because of what I've done in my life, but I'm not sure everybody would. So could somebody please explain what the rule is and what your obligation is, so that everybody here understands what a fiduciary duty is?
Sure. Who wants to handle that?
Go ahead.
You want me to do it?
Sure.
When you have a fiduciary responsibility, in our case, it is to the corporation. You have to do what you need to do to protect the assets of that corporation. And so what you're doing is you're not acting in the best interest of yourself. You're not acting in the best interest of the members. You're acting in the best interest of the corporation. Do I have that right so far?
Pretty close.
Yeah.
Yes.
We protect both the physical and the monetary assets of this corporation. So when we make a decision, we have to put our own feelings aside. Sometimes that means that what I'm saying yes to is not a good thing for Rich, okay? But it's a good thing for Sun City and the RCSC. In fact, we've got several different things in our bylaws and whatnot that I think are very unfair to me, and I've actually even written some of them. But when I step back and take me out of the equation, it is good for Sun City. And when you're dealing with the assets of Sun City and how you're spending money, I'm not looking at what's good for me or what's good for a member or what's good for a club. I'm looking at the corporation and what's good for that corporation. Did I come close?
Yeah, you're really close.
Okay.
That's good. And I had a second question, and this only is because somebody mentioned, I guess something about taxes, I think. And I happened to notice in the article in the Independent, something about Sun City West being in trouble because of the clubs for tax purposes. Do we have an outside accountant, or do we do it internally? And how do we make sure that we don't run into problems with the IRS, basically?
We do have audits
Okay.
annually. We always have an audit. Our financial director is in-house, but we have a finance committee that goes over every detail, and we also go through an annual audit to make sure there is nothing showing up that is flagged as a red flag.
And the audit is from an outside corporation,
It
correct?
is an outside corporation, yes, that does the audit.
Okay, those were my two main questions.
Excellent. Excellent. You have a question for us, sir?
I think you answered it with this last fiduciary thing,
Okay,
but actually it brings another question.
please.
What if there's, so you're representing a corporation.
Yes.
That's in spite of the fact that members are telling you the exact opposite?
Yes. Here's what I'm going to ask. I want you to think about this. Think you're on the board of directors of any company. Have you ever owned stock?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So you got a proxy in the mail, right?
Oh, yeah.
And the proxy has all of the members listed that are running for the board, and you're going to approve yes or no or abstain. You're coming down after that, and they always say have a CPA firm that they want to hire, and then executive compensation is also always something that they want. And then there's some things down there that the board of directors recommends that you vote for, right? Below that are shareholder recommendations. They always say vote no on those. That's the recommendation, right? The board recommends in favor of the corporation, always. Your loyalty, and you'll get this in detail when you go through the board orientation once you first get elected, is that your loyalty is to the corporation, okay? So if you have a situation where something is good for some members but not the corporation, your loyalty is with the corporation. Members elect you, just like shareholders will elect the board of directors of Microsoft or Tesla or anything else. But once you're elected, your loyalty is to the corporation. It's weird. I look at it this way. Take a 7. Here on this side over here is the board of directors. Here, before you get to the downstroke, is the corporation. The board feeds the corporation feeds the members, okay? So that's the way it goes from here to there to down. We have, it is one of the mission statements that the corporation do whatever they can do to help members, okay? That's one of our missions. We want to help members. And when you think about it, what would Sun City be without the RCSC? We'd be Youngtown, we'd be Peoria, we'd be Glen, we'd be any other city, right? What would the RCSC be without the members? Nothing. Nobody coming to swim in the pools or work out. So it's a symbiotic relationship. We need each other. But the board of directors is loyal to the corporation. The corporation is different. It's loyal to the members, okay? And will work for the members.
Okay.
We're not a Supreme Court, and I can't stress that enough. We get a lot of situations where somebody will come to cardholder services, let's say, and they'll be unhappy with something that goes on. And so that, I want to see your manager. So they'll bring out our finance director, and he'll sit down with them, and they've explained, the person at cardholder services may have explained precisely whatever the policy is. You didn't like that. Call for the manager. So in comes the finance director, and he says, well, here's the policy. Still don't like it. You want to go see the general manager. General manager says, here's the policy. They're acting on what the direction was of the board. The board wrote that policy, and the board said, follow this policy. That's what they're doing. So if you're not happy with them, and they say, go to the board. So you come to a board meeting, and you stand at the podium, and you say, I don't think this is fair. Well, no, we wrote it. And so we're not a Supreme Court. We're not going to sit there and say, well, we're going to overturn this. I've seen it happen one time in 6 years where we've said, you know, that probably isn't the right way to look at things. And other than that, and probably hundreds of decisions of people coming up saying, well, that's not fair, they're doing what we ask them to do. Certainly we're going to back them. You know, we've said, do it this way, and they're doing it that way. Why wouldn't we back them? So that's really the thing that I'm saying. It is a little different. You know, we're not city council. We're not a school board. We don't have a mayor. You know, Mike said this morning, and he was so right, we're an unincorporated community within Maricopa County. But there is no city government here, okay? We handle the recreation and the entertainment. SHOA, Sun City Homeowners Association, handles the neighborhoods. If your neighbor's weeds are too high, or you don't like the fact that they build a garage that's not connected to their house, or whatever else is wrong with the CCNRs, they're the people to go scream at. If there's a pothole over here on Del Webb, you want to go talk to Maricopa County, because they're the ones that handle that. We don't handle that stuff. I don't handle anything in your neighborhood. And sometimes we get people that say, my neighbor's house is a shambles, where the guy died and it's vacant and vandals are breaking in. I'm sorry, we don't handle that. You know, that's really where the separation is. And it's tough, because members see us all the time as the place to go, and not everything that happens is us. Does that help?
Yeah, that's helpful. Thank
Okay.
you.
Okay. How are we doing, Shirley?
Pretty good.
You need anything?
Nope, just absorbing it like a
Okay,
sponge.
that's fine.
I did get my packet, though, and I did notice there was quite a long calendar in there.
There is, yes.
That's for June, but then it starts in October, so that's...
Right, from June, picking up your packets in June, which you could have done
I did
starting
already.
last Monday, I think, or a week ago this past Monday. Going on until October, you're kind of on your own, and like I said, I touch base with you every couple of weeks just to make sure everything's fine. And then what happens in October, that's when all of that stuff starts. And there's stuff in the packet that says you must do this, and there's stuff in the packet you should do this. It's like nobody's going to tell you you have to go to a committee meeting or a board meeting. You should. It would help to get to know the board members, because if elected, you're going to be working with 6 of them, okay? And get to know your candidates as well come October when we announce the candidates, because you're going to be working with a couple of them if you're elected, you know. So that's important too. I always was very friendly with all of the candidates I was running with, because first of all, I can learn from them, and secondly, it's just important, you know.
I thought the calendar was a good idea.
You will get that after you've turned in your packet. You'll get that every month. And we still get it as board members.
You know, I think it goes for over a year. I think I saw it January, too.
Are you talking the one that is?
Comes in the candidate packet.
Yeah, okay. But you're
That's the one that just lists everything?
where it
Yeah.
lists, yeah, that should go,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah, that. You will get a calendar that actually looks like a calendar.
Right.
And it'll have blue spaces on it, and it'll have, you know, it'll show when the general manager's going to be out of town, or when Marcia's going to be out of town, or when one of us is out of town. It'll have all of the committee meetings listed, all of the liaison meetings listed. Board meetings will be highlighted in blue, and it'll have all of that. You'll get that as a candidate every month, okay? And then if elected, you'll get that every month. And Marcia makes sure to email that to you. Usually it's the middle of the month, okay? Are we keeping you up, Marcia? Stella?
The other thing I recommend you do, and I've heard it briefly mentioned, but I really strongly encourage you to attend all of the committee meetings that you can before the election. Because yes, you'll meet and get to talk to the board members who are chairing and co-chairing those committees, but you also will get to talk to and meet the members, okay, that have volunteered to be on those committees. So you'll be able to get in touch with the people and how they feel and what's going on with them and what they feel is important. So you'll be able to get your name out there a little bit more by communicating with the members of those committees, because generally the people who have volunteered to do something are more active in your community. So you'll be able to get a little bit more information, and you'll be able to liaison a little bit more with the people of Sun City who are going to be making a decision as to whether or not you're going to be on their board or not.
That is a really good point, because those are the folks that probably will be voting more than others. And it's always a good place to get signatures. You know, if you can, I don't know how many, I know we've got an election committee meeting next week, but I think that, I don't know what else we've got. Properties are coming up. So when's your meeting?
Long-range planning. And long-range planning.
Long-range planning is Monday morning, bright and early. And when is your property meeting?
The last Tuesday of the month, right?
At what time?
9.
And that's in this room.
Correct.
And the long-range planning meeting is down in the boardroom, which is, if you walk out this door and turn to the right, go past the ramp, it's the first door on the right. It says
There's a thing
boardroom.
over it that says.
Yeah,
boardroom.
and you can go in there, Alan knows about that. You can go in there, and again, if you have a packet with you and you need signatures, how many people are on your properties committee? When you get,
Gosh, about 20.
yeah, you can get 20 signatures here, and you go down there, and there's probably another 7 or 8 members down there. You're a quarter of the way home. You just go into a couple of meetings with Dale. And, you know, and then if you come on the 24th to our final board meeting, you can probably pick up the others, because I know we're going to go crazy. Aren't we?
Sure.
Sure.
And the other thing is, once you are elected, you will be given a sheet where you can go through and mark what committees you would like to chair or co-chair, as well as if you'd like to be a liaison. And then that will be determined in January, what committees you would be heading up or being a co-chair of.
We have 11 committees right now, standing committees. And some of them meet every month. Some of them meet 3 times, properties meets 3 times a year. Budget and finance meets 3 times a year. Insurance meets 2 or 3 times a year. And the most of the others meet every month. If you're a golfer, you know, the golf advisory meets every month. Well, every month except June. We're not meeting this month, but we'll pick it back up in September. But because you know, we have a lot of folks that are gone. But you know, that's something as well. Think about what you would like to do as far as would you like to be a liaison to a different, you know, group outside. The Sun City Foundation is another one that we have, you know, folks on. We have to have, what, 50% of that group's membership have to be either current or former board members.
There has to be more current or previous board members than there are
regular members. So.
And we're fine on that, yeah. So we could.
But I know they've struggled in the past in getting board members and past board members to join the foundation, which is a really neat thing. That is a 501c3 organization, which is tax deductible. And what they do is they help folks that have basically outlived their money and they can't afford to pay their annual assessments. So they come to the foundation, and the foundation does a wonderful job. They really do. And if you're sitting on bags of money and you want to help them out, it is a tax deductible donation, and that's the end of my commercial for them. But but I know Stella and Sue are really, and Mike, yeah, Mike's there,
and Marcia's, yes.
Marcia's there as well. But anyway, but that's something to think about as well. I can tell you this: this is a family, and running for the board, it's not easy. Never has been, and I don't think it ever will be. And I don't want it to be easy, to be honest with you, because if it were super easy, you wouldn't get the quality of people that we need to run the RCSC. This is over a $100 million company, okay? We have a budget in excess of $20 million. And, I mean, we're talking real money. When you start looking at redoing properties like what we did at Grand Avenue, like what we're doing coming up at Mountain View, this stuff costs real money. And we have to be very serious about this. And there is a very serious side. We have a lot of fun together. And not everything is you know, real serious, as I hope you've picked up on. but there is a serious side to it. And, you know, I don't care what anybody did in their previous life. That's not important. Common sense is important. Being able to understand what's happening is important. You know, if you have a financial background, great. If you have a legal background, wonderful. You know, that's a big help. If you have a background in construction, that's wonderful too. You don't need a college degree to do this. You really don't. You know, we've got people that have been marvelous that as far as education concerned, no. We've got people that have had PhDs that have been great. You know, it doesn't matter. Common sense and a willingness to learn and work is really what's important here. Okay? Does anybody have any other comment? Because I'll tell you what, we can go for another hour if you want.
I did want to ask Sue, what would you say are the 3 top focus areas that the board is addressing this year and into next year?
Well, we addressed one of our biggest already this year, and that was hiring a new GM.
That was going to be.
Since our GM is retiring this year.
So you did select someone?
We have, yes, and that person is already on staff and has already assumed that responsibility to transition, make that transition very smooth. The other big thing, obviously, right now, Mountain View, getting that. But the other is the ADWR water restrictions that are coming down and how that is going to have a very big effect on what we're doing.
And that leads right into Alan's question from earlier, the water restrictions. To be honest with you, we don't know today.
It's coming.
We know it's coming. We know that there's going to be in January of 23?
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
23 is first one.
In January of 23, there's going to be a 6.5% reduction in the water usage. And in January of 25, there's going to be a 15% reduction in water usage. That is enough to not water Riverview, okay? So we are definitely looking, and plus we've got a beautiful lake behind me that's leaking, and that's going to need to be fixed. We have a turf reduction that's going to have to take place. ADWR, which by the way is the Arizona Department of Water Resources, that they have pretty much come out and said that no golf course in the state of Arizona is going to be given water if their course has more than 90 acres of turf. So just to show you, South has got 240 acres of turf right now. We're going to have to do major turf reduction at South. All of our courses, with the exception of Lakes East, do not fall into their plan, okay, right now. Lakes East does, but they're the only course that we've got, and we've got 7 other courses. So turf reduction is going to be a major issue going forward, as is fixing Viewpoint Lake, and that's going to be a major issue. What we're going to do, I know that management will be meeting with them in the 3rd quarter. Hopefully we can get some administrative relief. We currently have that, and that's why, how long have you been in town, Alan?
2.5 years.
How much?
2.5 years.
2.5, okay. Were you here when we were still doing the irrigation on the golf courses?
Willow Creek and Willowbrook.
Willow Creek, Willowbrook would have been the last ones that we did?
I don't think so.
No,
Okay.
I was going to say, I think that was.
We had gone through, everybody but Quail Run and South got new irrigation. And that was part of the deal with ADWR. So we were able to not have to fix the lake. And so we needed the irrigation anyway, so we went ahead and did that. And we basically closed down one of those golf courses, usually from like November through the following November. And they went through and redid all of the irrigation. And a couple of them, we rebuilt sand traps and greens and things like that. But we're going to be meeting with them and seeing what we can do as far as administrative relief. I don't know if we're going to get it or not.
I have a question for you. You said that you had to have a reduction of 6.5 and then 15%. Had they already picked the benchmark for the years that you were using the water?
That's what I've heard. Is it 6.5 and 15?
No, but from what is what I'm asking.
From current usage.
From where we're supposed to be.
Okay, so the more uses you had would benefit you in the reduction?
Well, now,
That's really what I'm asking. What I'm asking is.
can we boost that now? No.
That's what that's the way my mind thinks, I'm sorry.
That's all right. That's all right, not a problem.
A couple of things you will do on the board. We do, every year we have a tour of all of our facilities, and it's excellent because you get to see problems or get to see some really good things. You may see some of the rec centers that you had no idea. And that has been very helpful. You get to see the maintenance yards that are key to our golf courses. But then we also have USGA come in, and lately, they've just been coming in one day.
Yeah.
And we go with Brian Whitlark and go to the different courses, and he's looking at the soil composition and talking to us about what we need to do. And so that's an opportunity that you'll have on the board, and it's one that you should take, because I knew nothing about all types of grasses, and we learned about nuts edge and everything else in our tours on the golf courses. But it has been informative.
Oh, yeah.
Those are long days, but I'll tell you, very
Long days.
informative.
Yes.
I've been on the board tour, I think, 5 of the 6 years. We didn't do it last year because of COVID. But I'll tell you what, you see everything we own.
Yes.
And you see it up close and in a way that you have never seen it before. I will say this. I don't care how long you've lived in Sun City. 3 years on the board, you will learn more about Sun City than you've ever wanted to know. You'll see the sausage getting made, that's for darn sure. And in fact, you'll help make it. You'll do some of the grinding. But the thing is you will see a lot more than what you already know. I don't care how long, you've been here how long? Long time, 22 years? Yeah, you'll learn more in 3 years than you've ever known living here. So, and that's good. You will have a fresh understanding about what this place is, and you come away with just this deep pride. I don't know how else to describe it. Serving 3 years on the board is remarkable. It really is. It'll change you. It really will.
But you need to maintain your sense of humor.
You have to.
Through all of it.
Absolutely.
No matter what.
Yes, you do. You're right, Stella.
Sense of humor.
I came from the broadcasting industry, and I had a boss that always told me, he says, never take your job seriously, take your career seriously, and that's pretty much the way it is here. You take the issues seriously, but you enjoy the people that you're around and the situation, because it does go by quick. I can't believe I've been doing this for 6 years. I mean, I've only been here 10. So, it's more than half of the time I've been in Sun City, I've been sitting on this board. How stupid is that?
Especially when you're sitting on the board, too.
Huh?
Especially when you're sitting on the board. You take the issues seriously.
You do.
But you don't necessarily take each other seriously. We all have a job and a responsibility,
Yeah.
and that we take very seriously. But we don't carry that over necessarily into our relationships with one another.
No.
We have to enjoy it because we're all in this together. Every person on that board is in the same situation you are. We're all dealing with the same things. So
I'll tell you what, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 board members here. We got a quorum.
But we are.
We got 6 board members, and we've got 3 former board members here today. And I have to tell you something. I don't think there's one person in this room that I've served with, and I've served with all of them, that I voted with 100% of the time. I disagreed with everybody in this room at one point or another. I respect and like all of them, and really truly feel we are a family, And yes, I am the crazy uncle, but that's okay. But the thing is that you have to go into this with a good sense of humor, but it is a lot of fun too, So, what other issues did you have that you mentioned earlier, Alan?
I think I covered them. Give me 1 second.
I know I got the water one done.
It's got a pad full.
Yeah, there he goes. He came prepared.
He did.
I just kept notes.
That's fine.
There are a series of policies which I have not yet reviewed.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, the board policies, which I want copies. I'm assuming that it takes a majority vote to change some of those policies. Is that the
5.
case, or how's that? Versus
5.
the articles of incorporation and stuff.
Right.
I don't know how he can read this writing. I mean, you
I'm
can tell
afraid.
that he was an attorney or his previous.
No, we've
Because he's like
covered
a
it. We've
doctor,
covered
you
it all.
can't read
Okay.
it.
I want to thank you all for your time that you.
Well, that's great. Karen, have we finished answering all of your questions?
Yes, thank you.
Very good. Julius?
Yeah, and especially the part about you being the crazy uncle.
I am a crazy uncle, you know.
That was very important.
After 3 hours and 10 minutes yesterday, she calls for an adjournment, got the motion, got it seconded.
And he goes, "No."
And I voted no.
It was absolutely fun.
Anyway, Shirley, have we answered all your questions?
You have. It's been very, very enlightening.
Great. Now, I did something last year that I thought was absolutely phenomenal, and I'm going to, do you know what I'm talking about?
No.
At the very end?
I'm sorry,
At the very end?
tell me.
Well, I'll go down.
He screamed and jumped in the pool.
What I want to do now is go down the list and ask you on a scale of 1 to 5, with 1 being, I can't wait to get out of here, and 5 being, I'm ready to run today. Shirley, where are you?
I'm going to say 3.5.
Okay, very good. Julius?
There you go.
3.5?
3.5.
Okay. Karen?
I'm sorry, what's the scale again?
1 to 5. 1 being, I can't wait to get out of here. I'm missing my soap opera, to 5, which is,
You're ready
sign me
for
up, I'm ready to do it.
I think I have some hesitation, so I'd be at a 2.
At a 2? All right. Alan, 5? Good.
Good for you.
All right.
But you are the attorney, right? You're a retired attorney.
He's a retired judge.
Judge, that's it. I knew you from somewhere.
I had a friend who was in the DA's office, who when somebody came up and said, I know you from somewhere, go, I think you have the wrong person.
You have the wrong judge.
And
you
Stella,
and I
what
met
number are
here.
you?
What number am I? Oh, probably a -4.
By the way, she came in a little bit late, but I do want to introduce my co-chair on elections. You're going to get to know her if you become a candidate, is Karen McAdam, and she's my co-chair. She's done a wonderful job so far this year, and I know she's going to continue to do so. And she came in a little bit after 2 o'clock when we got started, but I did want to introduce her and thank her for being here today. Thank you, Karen. Appreciate that. If there's nothing else, if you need a packet, Marcia's right there. She can take you downstairs and get one, and if you've got one, that's great. We can certainly accommodate. If you do have a packet, I'll be in touch every couple of weeks. I also would like to thank Dan and Sue and Ron and Mike and Ida. These guys have given up probably 4 or 5 hours of their time today, and I do appreciate that. They do it because they love the board.
And we get free coffee.
And they get free coffee in the morning. We didn't get it today, but yeah.
But no macadamia nut cookies.
No
That's all I
macadamia
can
nut
say.
cookies. Yeah, we didn't go to Subway. Thank you all very much. If you need anything, give me a shout.
It's your first vote, right?
Cookies.
This is a copyrighted production of the Recreation Centers of Sun City Incorporated and is intended for the sole purpose of informing our Recreation Center members. Any duplication, copying, transmission, broadcast, or use, including electronic and social media, is strictly prohibited without the prior written consent from the Recreation Centers of Sun City Incorporated. Thank you for watching.